providing certain funding related to immigration, that they could withhold it. But they don't really do that because states aren't responsible for immigration law. So I don't think that the feds are providing money to the states with regard to immigration enforcement, because the states don't do immigration enforcement, generally speaking. So yeah, I think this is probably frivolous. I know that they filed similar suits in other states as well. The ones you would expect, the big blue states. There's also a suit in Illinois. I think there's also a suit in New York. So, right there, those are the first three you would expect.
Right.
Illinois and California, the three most populous, quote-unquote, blue states in the country. But yeah, I don't think it's going anywhere.
So you don't think there's any chance that this is going to get appealed up to the Supreme Court?
Of course, that's all. I should have prefaced all my comments by saying, in a normal world, this would be going nowhere. But, you can't, on a different subject, but just to illustrate the point, despite the fact that Citizens United has proven to be an erroneous decision, and by that I mean its own logic has shown to be false, right? They said, oh, don't worry, this won't lead to A, B, and C, and it's exactly led to A, B, and C. So instead of revisiting Citizens United, the court announced yesterday that they're revisiting a case setting limits on coordinated spending by the party for a candidate. And so they're going in the other direction, right? It's going to be Citizens United on steroids. So we don't live in a normal world, and therefore, who knows? But yeah, if we're relying on existing law, this is going nowhere. Could it go all the way to the Supreme Court and they could, change the non-delegation doctrine? Well, yeah, I mean, they've shown that they're willing to do almost anything. I mean, it's we're in lawless Supreme Court territory, as I've said many times. And so, all bets are off if it gets that far.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about. It's not a matter of whether they logically can do it. They're doing things that are not logical. So
okay, can I ask Steve Crone one follow-up question, please?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. And Steve Crone, hypothetically, if this does get appealed all the way up to the Supreme Court or whatnot, would you say that based on the Supreme Court's recent decision in the birthright citizenship, that whatever the decision is, it would not affect any and all major cities in the United States? It would only affect the litigants to that one case. Is that an accurate statement?
Well, no, not necessarily. It might, but again, the case that was decided with regard to so-called universal or nationwide injunctions is a case about courts ordering injunctive relief. So yeah, I mean, to the extent that the remedy is an injunction, in a case like this, they're suing California, so there's no reason to expect that a court would order a nationwide injunction. Like, they're claiming that California is discriminating, and so the relief would be to order California to stop discriminating. So I guess the answer to your question is yes, but not because of the limitation from the case of the other day, but rather because the appropriate relief, if you're claiming that the state of California is discriminating, is to order California to stop discriminating. There would be no basis for a judge to say, and we also order Utah to stop discriminating, right? It just wouldn't make any sense.
Thank you, Steve.
There we go. So, Steve, while I got you here, did you have any other things that you wanted to bring up, either your PTR or any other of your legal musings?
No, I guess the two. I mean, I am going to be. Royfield asked me to do his podcast later today, so I'm going to do that.
Wow.
Talk about 4 or 5 different cases. But I guess the other thing I'd say is that in addition to the one I mentioned about, revisiting limits on coordinated spending, which again is just going to increase the unbelievable harm to the election system that Citizens United has caused. They also picked forward. So there was one case that wasn't decided this year, and everybody was scratching their head after the last day of the term because the court announced that it was the last day. They announced, I think, 4 decisions. They just didn't announce a decision in the Louisiana redistricting case, in which Louisiana created a second so-called majority-minority district, and that was challenged by the white supremacists as, discriminatory. Again, the world turned on its head. Now it's illegal to try and get some semblance of equal representation in these states. That's what's now constitutionally suspect. And they kicked the case forward after hearing argument with a suggestion that they're going to refine the question. So I think they're going to ask for the case to be re-argued, and maybe they're going to ask the litigants to focus on some new issues. So, 2 election-related cases that are more of the effort to, make it easier to continue to have minority rule in this country. Because essentially what we have, to some extent, nationally, although Trump did win the popular vote in the last election, but in states especially, when you look at some of the gerrymandering at the state level, and that includes, of course, their congressional delegation, not just their state legislatures, you see this situation where, one party gets 57, 58, 59% of the vote, and they have 20% of the seats. I mean, it's just absolutely not representative and outrageous. And, they're continuing to ossify that kind of approach to democracy. And this is, we've known it for a long time. The Republican Party's policies are not popular in this country on a nationwide basis or a state-by-state basis, with obviously notable exceptions. And the way they continue to have power in state houses and at the national level in Congress is by gerrymandering and vote suppression. I mean, it's not complicated. It's that simple. And then you add, of course, eliminating limitations on campaign expenditures and the misinformation, right? And those 4 elements together, gerrymandering, vote suppression, misinformation, and a flooding of money into the system, have combined to make us profoundly anti-democratic and anti-representative.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah. All right, so let's do this because we've got the domestic thing happening here.
I did have a comment on that case that they are taking up, limiting, removing the caps on campaign contributions. This is something I mentioned almost a year ago, I think, when the Republicans flipped 1 seat in our county. The very first thing they did, with 95% of the public comments going against this, was to raise the cap that we had on local elections from $750 for an individual to almost $7,000. That's the very first thing to do. So, local and state, those are the testing grounds for many of these laws. If it worked here, it can work nationally. And this is why we really have to get on to our local elections. And they are so critically important to start taking back these state houses, which is exactly how the Republicans have managed to redistrict our country into making it almost unwinnable. And, federal elections are important, but if you can't ever get anybody elected to a federal office, say goodbye. So, then the other piece of related news to that is the Elon Musk Donald Trump wars are back on. And Elon Musk said yesterday that if the big beautiful bill passes, he's going to start a new political party
It
called the
just
American
did.
Party.
It just narrowly passed.
Well, he said that he's going to start the America Party to contest Trump. And
Yeah.
if personal political contributions and corporate political contributions, if personal contributions are lifted, he can spend a lot of money. That doesn't mean he'll win, but
He could help the Democrats.
maybe.
Maybe.
I speculating against stuff like that is kind of crazy, but it could make a real mess. And so anyway, there's a lot going on. Get out there. If you can, donate to elect.org, donate to the States Project, or look up elect.org. They're just getting started. They need funding. And it's a really remarkable, if you want young people who aren't, party loyalists, who really want to see change, and they're going to work at it. They elected 5 people in the last election, got them elected, and I think all of them are under 40. The new mayor of our town is over 40, but they won every election that they recruited and trained, and they're trying to take this national now and show people how to do it. And we're a Purple County, so we're a perfect testing ground for this stuff. So elect.org, spend some money today. Give them a little love, read up about them, spread the word. They're also looking for other organizations or people around the country that want to partner with them. So let's do this. Let's start creating coalitions. With coalitions, we have a lot more power. And let's start doing that.
All right, thanks for that, Frank. Dr. Francine, can you tell us, because I'm not looking at the thing, I know that the bill passed, but it was like 50-50.
No,
Tell us what happened exactly.
Vance broke the tie. It was
So wicked Republicans decided to vote against it.
Oh, I wasn't watching it that closely.
Yeah,
But
I think we can
clearly
assume that
not
it's,
for.
yeah, it's Tillis, Collins, and Murkowski, I think would be a pretty safe bet.
Yeah.
But just to be clear, I mean, to state the obvious, it's not a law yet, right? This bill has passed the Senate. It's more deficit-inducing than the House bill. There's also a narrow minority in the House. So, now the focus shifts back, ironically, to some of the most conservative members of the House who fashion themselves deficit hawks. And so the fight's not over yet. The bill has passed the Senate, but the bill that passed the House is a different bill. So it's got to go back to the House now.
Yeah,
Murkowski voted yes. Murkowski voted yes.
And Trump went to the House more than once and said, if you don't vote for the bill, I will midterm your ass.
Yeah. So who's the third? Did Collins vote now? Is it Collins, Tillis, and somebody else?
I think so. I know that
Anybody have the roll call?
and was going to vote against. I'm sure it was her, but I'll check.
I wonder who the third one was if it wasn't Murkowski.
the
Interesting.
guy from Nebraska who's retiring.
Bacon. Oh, well, no, he's not a senator. So,
I have a brief breaking news because I'm in and out. So,
go for it.
the ranked choice voting for New York City mayor was released at 12 noon today. This is the second and maybe the final round. But Zoran had to get over 50%, so we knew he was going to. He was at 43.6. He got 56% of the vote. Andrew Cuomo got 44, so this apparently is the final round, I believe.
And that's
So 56 to 44.
and that's the dude that wants to eliminate all billionaires, is that?
I mean, that's misinformation.
Oh.
He said he doesn't want to eliminate billionaires. He said billionaires shouldn't exist.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry for misquoting.
Well, no, that's two different things.
It's an important distinction. He people say that understand that they exist, but what they're saying is in our system in America, there should be people who are paid a living wage at the bottom. And the way that billionaires take all of these profits on the backs of working people, that's why they're saying billionaires shouldn't exist. It's the excessive amounts of profit that they make on the backs of not giving their employees or people health care, or grifting, the government, whatever it is. That's why they say billionaires shouldn't exist, but they don't want to eliminate them.
Yeah.
It's stupid, rhetoric. I don't even agree with it, but it's a good talking point for people on the right.
I humbly apologize for misquoting the truth.
No, it wasn't misquoting the truth. It has to do with the fact that they're two separate things. It's just saying that you think that they shouldn't exist versus I think we should do something about it are two completely different things. So it's not misstating it. It's just they're two different things, and the distinction's important.
Well, Dan, wait a second. Why don't we have masked, armed people grab the billionaires off the street, throw them into vans, and then send them to concentration camps in El Salvador? There we go.
There you go.
That's
That
the
would be a
symmetry.
way to do that. Well, that would be something that I think Steve could complain about. But nobody is saying that should be done. But thank you for pointing that out.
So it was Susan Collins, and also I just reported that she only has a 14% approval rating in her state, so she didn't have anything to lose. And then Tom Tillis and Rand Paul.
Oh, Rand
So they only need one
Paul, of
more.
course. How can I forget Rand Paul, that deficit hawk of all hawks?
So at the end of the day, Lisa Murkowski let us down. Surprise, surprise.
I guess she doesn't want to have to run as a write-in again.
She was given a few amendments, so that's fine.
And she said she didn't want to be anyone's savior publicly in her CNN interview. She was concerned about her state.
Yeah,
They
right.
gave carve-outs for Alaska. These fucking people.
Fucking crazy. Andrea, can you talk now? Are you available?
A little bit. Sorry, I've been taking care of some things. I'm just catching up. Did the bill? Is it finished?
Yeah, it's done. It ended up 50-50, and Vance took it over the
Broke
top.
the tie.
It's finished, but it's not finished. It has to go to the House and get approved by the House. Now, the thing
It's
is,
not going to be as easy in the House, is it?
well, the problem is the House can change it. They could make it better, but they could also make it worse. They could just say that we want to cut more in order to lower the deficit. But so it's not good either way.
But I was watching the congressional voting record, and it was that's a fascinating thing for the nerds amongst us. I mean, the numbers of times they tried to introduce amendments to change it, to stop the cuts to Medicaid, to reduce the cuts to SNAP, and all different ways. I mean, the tactics are amazing. It just took forever, and they were all rejected. I mean, they were just rejected. Not all. I don't have the record in front of me now. I did earlier.
Now, I just want to, ask the room if they do change it, alter it in the House, does it still have to be approved by the Senate again or not? Or is this?
I had an interview this morning from the middle of the night with Aaron Arness and Amy Klobuchar.
Yeah.
And she really, walked through everything. And what she said is that it has to mirror word for word exactly what was just passed. So the House has to make, and remember, things have changed. So they can't just go, okay, hi, yeah, here's our signature, we're done. They have to now go through it. They have to agree with every sentence and every word and every T and every I dotted in order for
So Josh Hawley has stated that if the version that includes the reduction of Medicaid happens, that he will not vote for it. He has said that. Does that mean he can? There's a situation where it goes back to the Senate and he can reject it?
That would be my impression from what she said. She really made a point of saying that it had to match word for word.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite simple. I mean, a bill has to pass both houses in order to be presented to the president for signature. It has to be the identical bill. So, normally what they do back when Congress actually used to legislate is they would just have a conference committee. If they passed two separately, slightly different versions, they wouldn't keep bouncing it up and back. They would have a few members from each chamber who would get together, focus on the differences, come to an agreement about which way to go on all of those differences, and then they would sort of line it up and they'd say, okay, we now know we've got the votes in both chambers. We've taken a bill out of conference committee. Now let's just quickly pro forma get it approved. But in this dysfunctional Congress, especially how tight these margins are in both houses of Congress, it's not that, it's not necessarily that smooth. But yeah, the House either has to accept the Senate version or there's got to be another step.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing. Yesterday they put out this press release from HHS that they had announced a $2 billion Medicare fraud scheme that they've been working on forever. And it was Medicare and Medicaid. And so the fact that there is all this waste, fraud, and abuse is designed to help people lose trust in Medicare and Medicaid, and also think that HHS is going to fix all of this. And that these people on Medicaid are all on it, all on it illegally.
Yeah. All right. I'll tell you what. Brian just came in the room, but we have Andrew and Perusin. So let's do this. Let's go to Brian in a debrief. He might have something to say about the vote. And then we'll shift over to international and talk to Andrew and Perusin and get some international stuff in before we get into closing comments. So,
Okay, sorry, I wasn't finished. You kind of.
Oh, okay, you go ahead. Go ahead, and then we'll go to Brian, and then Perusin, and then Andrew.
So there's still a chance then to keep calling the House to run some interference here. So we should be shouting that out to folks. And, kind of not giving up on our input and power, and maybe getting more strategic about who are the most strategic folks to reach out to. And call your friends in that state. I wonder if there's any phone banking that might still be going on around this. So I'll try to find that and bring it back. And yeah, that was really it. And just that also sharing that in terms of New York, the Mandami ended up taking 56% of the vote. So we did break the 50% margin here. So that was interesting. They really mobilized the young voters.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm just enjoying watching the bromance between Trump and Elon go even further south, and just wondering what the reverberations in the MAGA split, mean moving forward. But Elon, well, it's nice to hear him say what he's saying now. A, we shouldn't be counting on him to save us in any way, shape, or form. And B, it's a problem in the system that he feels he can put such a finger on the scale. Self-appointed, not elected.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the conundrum that we have here, is that at the end of the day, I can see a situation where he will really be a problem for Trump. And he could, out of his own egotism and his own malignant narcissism, decide to do this. Because he's as unpredictable as the orange monster. So but he's still the Nazi from apartheid.
Well, the threats to primary all the Republicans if they voted for the bill. That let's see how that plays out. It did stop them from voting.
And look, if he ends up starting some third party and he puts a shitload of money in it and actually has some traction, at the end of the day, that may not be a bad thing.
Is he overlapping with Andrew Yang at all? Has anyone figured that out?
Yeah. Well, he has it's the same as Trump. He has no ideology at this point. So this is just a power dynamic, and can this be manipulated in a way to get us back to some normalcy? Who knows?
Well, let me add my 2 cents.
Go for it, Scotty.
In the same way the Republican Party, loves when the left of the Democratic Party fight with the centrist or the establishment or whatever, we should stay out of this. Let Elon and Trump and divide their party and, potentially help the Democrats in future elections. So we should stay out of it and grab your popcorn.
Exactly. Well, what's the saying? Something about when you see them digging in a hole, just give them another shovel. There's no reason to get them to stop. All right, so where was I? We're going to go to Brian. Brian, haven't heard from you in a while. What say you the topics of the day?
Yeah, hey, good morning, afternoon, good day. I just came in the room to listen while I do some yard work, but this is a good break for me to tap in. Murkowski, backbone like a wet noodle, like many others. I'm not gonna call it the big, beautiful, fuck that, excuse my language, but no. It's draining. I will say, and apparently this is something, so that's one, and then the second thing, as I'm learning from Clubhouse, which surprisingly we can do, right or wrong, but this whole notion of doxing, so which I don't know what the hell that is. I'm like, look, I'm an open book, but I get it. So I'm not gonna say, but I got invited, was it Saturday? Friday's the first, so it's Saturday to a luncheon with my local representative, my congressman here in suburban Detroit, and so I'm looking forward to that. It was only the invite was sent out to, I guess, a handful of constituents, and like I've mentioned several times, I'm not in politics. I just consider myself a citizen, and I stay as actively engaged as I can. I consistently call my local representatives' offices and voice my concern, and I was curious, and I called, and they said, yeah, that was one of the reasons why we sent you an invite. So they did send it out to a handful, and then locally, and third and last for now is that it was announced this morning, I think, but I knew about it last week, that I'm drawing a blank on her name here, Alyssa Slotkin. She used to be, I believe, in Congress, and then she got elected to Senate, the U.S. Senate. So there's two Democrats going up against the Republican who took her seat in the district that's around Lansing, around the Capitol. And I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name. It's Matt something, but he's a former Navy SEAL, and his wife, I think she's either former or current Navy pilot, and he says he's trying to continue to serve his country. And one of the things that stuck out for me was that he used to carry the nuclear football for President Obama. And he's already raised, I think, almost $1 million in the past couple of months before he officially announced. So he's trying to unseat the Republican who took Alyssa Slotkin's seat before she, or after she went to after she won her Senate seat. But my PS or PSS is that read. Just read. I know I'm speaking to the choir in here, but it grinds my gears that the clutching of pearls of many who may not be in our spaces that are like, oh my God, he's doing it. Motherfucker, if you would have read the Project 2025, specifically the mandate for leadership, and this whole notion like he's really going to try to take away birthright citizenship. It's like, dude, think, read, and just pay attention. And the notion that, the absolute of, he will never do X, Y, and Z. How many times have many of us said that or heard that and seen the opposite? Birthright citizenship is under attack. I've mentioned several Supreme Court cases in the past, and I'll bring them up off the top of my head if I could. Oberfeld v. Hodges, that's the one that sticks in my craw because that's, I think it was in the 2000s, but that legalized same-sex marriages. So same-sex marriages is under assault. Griswold v. Connecticut, that was contraception. Even Loving v. Virginia for interracial marriages and couples, that's under attack. And the pushback that I've shared to people who think, well, wait, isn't Clarence Uncle Tom Thomas in an interracial marriage? And I offer up, this Supreme Court did a special carve out for this orange bag of ass. So what makes you think they won't do a special carve out for certain individuals who are interracial or who are in interracial relationships or marriages that they like? So I encourage us to dig. I've said this before. I encourage us to go to that part of our imaginations that may be dark, that many of us of sane body and mind don't swim in. That's where these mofos are thriving. And if we want to fight them, we need to go to that space. That's it. I'll go back to the mom.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. All right, listen, we are heading into closing comments, pearls of wisdom, but I wanted to go to first Perusian and then Andrew to get some international stuff, and then we'll get into the closing comments, and we'll get to Denise. I'm going to get to you, Denise. Don't go anywhere. All right,
Ben, my dear, I will feel comfortable if Andrew speaks before me. He's more wise than me. I'm going to listen. Please give me the opportunity, gentlemen.
Well, that's so gracious of you. Andrew, why don't you go ahead? Oh, wait, before you go, Andrew, I do want to say that Roy Field, I don't know if he's still in the audience, but he's got this room with our very own Steve Crone. So if either Steve, if you or Royfield can put a link in the chat about when that's going to be happening, I'd love to listen to it real time if possible. So if you can do that. Anyway, go.
I don't think Royfield does them in real time. It's not on Clubhouse, so.
Oh, okay.
But I'll double check. But I don't think so. I think he just records it, edits it, and then puts it out on Mid-Atlantic.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the info, but at some point we'll get that link so that we can all hear, because I'm sure it's gonna be good. Andrew, you got the floor.
Good morning. How's everybody today?
Well, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a national holiday. People are celebrating from coast to coast to coast, as they say. It started early this morning on Signal Hill in Newfoundland. That's where the sun comes up. Mind you, it didn't come up today. It was quite foggy. Yeah, there'll be celebrations in most communities across Canada. Tonight, they're having a special on Parliament Hill, which they do. Sometimes they do it during the day and then have one at night as well. So I don't know if there's something going on today, actually, on television. But the one tonight should be interesting because, it's a concert and then fireworks. And two of the headliners are, Lou's Rodeo, the Lou Rodeo, and Sarah McLaughlin. So that will be really good. Really like, I like them both actually. Lou Rodeo is awesome. If you've ever heard any of their tunes, Jim Cuddy, he's the lead singer, also does some solo stuff. And as well in Newfoundland, of course, this is also a day of mourning because on July 1st, 1916, the Newfoundland Regiment was involved in the Battle of the Somme and were decimated. I think, and I don't know the exact numbers, but we're talking like over 800 men went into battle and maybe 76 came out. So it's an odd day for Newfoundland as part of Canada because they didn't join Canada in 1948 under Joey Smallwood.
Didn't realize that.
Yeah, before that they were a province, if you will, of the British Empire.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sad day for Newfoundland, but and I was just talking to my wife, and I was just thinking, we celebrated the 100th. This is our 158th birthday. So 8 years ago, we were in Vancouver celebrating in her brother's backyard, which was lots of fun. Today it's kind of rainy here today, so that's not the greatest, but we'll just take it easy and tune into the CBC tonight and watch the festivities from afar.
Are fireworks involved?
They will be at Parliament Hill. Many communities are starting to really look hard at this issue. And especially if you think about places where there's, fire risk.
Right. It's an issue.
And so that's always a concern. So a lot of communities are looking at it. And also, I heard somebody putting fireworks off out my back window. I've got an air conditioner in the window in the bedroom, but I could hear through it at 4 a.m. somebody was firing off fireworks. And I'm like, are you kidding me? 4 a.m.? What is the matter with you? I mean, we have an 11 p.m. curfew for that sort of thing. You can't, just get in line with everybody else. What is the matter with people? The rules don't apply to me. That's right. I forgot. It's all about me or you or whatever. And just check out the way I drive. Let alone fireworks.
Yeah, that would be an issue.
But I know Cambridge here, just south of us, they've put in some restrictions, and so I think it's a concern for people, and of course, Diwali, I think they get a bit more time because of the nature of that celebration. I think it's a week long, if I remember correctly. So you get a lot of that during that time of year. But again, it's an 11 p.m. type of curfew. So, see, in the summer, you can't throw the fireworks up until it gets dark, and it gets dark later, of course. So, in the wintertime, it's not so bad. You can do it a little earlier. But, so that's what's happening here in Canada. The only other comment I have is I'm kind of disappointed in the cave in yesterday, or Sunday actually, was when it was announced to get rid of digital services tax. Yeah. I thought they would hold that as a bargaining chip, but I don't know. I guess they took Donald Trump at his word, which is odd. That he, stop negotiating period and introduced tariffs. I was kind of interested to see how that would go, but anyway, that's, I can't do anything about it. I'm just a lowly plebe here, So, I can call but if I called up my local representative, I would be kind of choking a little bit because he is a conservative. So I don't know how, although, they're in opposition, so maybe he'd be a little bit more forceful about it. But the only other thing that was announced, there's actually two things. Chrystia Freeland, she's the Minister for Interprovincial Affairs. Yeah. She announced yesterday that all the remaining federal obstacles to free trade within Canada are being removed very quickly. So whether that's going to happen sooner than later, I'm thinking sooner than later. But now it's up to many of the provinces to continue to reduce those barriers to trade within our own country, which has been a long-standing issue, a head scratcher actually for many, many years. So there's that, and then of course Pierre Poilievre's by-election in Stony Plains, Alberta. I think it's Stony Plains, something like that. Alberta, which is a safe seat. It's a conservative riding that was won by a lady, and she's stepping down so that he can run and actually get a seat so he can sit in Parliament. I'm not sure how credible he is anymore in that regard, because I think it's tarnished his image somewhat. I think even among conservatives, that he couldn't win his own seat, especially considering he's the leader of the party. Yeah, it doesn't bode well overall. But it remains to be seen whether he can recover from that. It's possible. I mean, stranger things have happened. So that's it from Canada.
Well, you made Canadian, information interesting. That's good. That's great. Thank you, Andrew. Really.
And I won't apologize for that.
You know what? Exactly. Don't apologize for that. All right, Bruce, you're up. Tell us what's happening in Germany.
Hello, my dear Ben. Hello. Everybody, dear David, dear Andrea, Denise, Andrew, Rick, and Steve, and Brian. Nice to be again on your stage, dear audience. Nice to be with you again. Yes, you asked me how I'm doing. It's actually a little bit sad these days. As you know me, my dear Ben, I try to make somehow understanding, deepen the understanding between the different cultural sectors in Germany, and based on that, I thought that I have experience to also to try it also on the Iranian side. It's a pity that sometimes in these times of war, in these times that you cannot actually simply do what it wasn't also easy before, but nowadays it's even more hard to find understanding for that. Last time I was here, there's a guy sitting now in the audience. His name is Erfan Farahbash. I blocked him, sadly, because this guy is, after I visited your room, during the last couple of weeks, I cannot visit your room that often as I like, maybe, because of the happenings in Iran and what is going on in Europe. So my focus is...
So you want me to take care of that?
No, I just want him to listen before you do whatever you want to do.
All right, go ahead.
This guy is going to Iranian rooms. After all, first of all, these people in this room are democratic people who are actually progressive Americans. A lot of them of Jewish faith. And I just love these people. I just want to exchange my opinions with them. And what I'm speaking in this room, it belongs to this room, and it's not a subject to be discussed on in Iranian rooms. Accusations about, he's not condemning in American rooms enough attack on Iran, and like a kid of 10 years old, like a Stasi spy, going from room to room and so doing what he's doing. But since he's still here, I just want him to understand. Once I come up on this stage, these nice people, they do not ask me to take position about what the leader in Iran says, or none of them is asking me, so take position about what Ahmadinejad says, or condemn this or condemn that. But these people are just exchange my opinions. I learn a little bit more English. We came together after the happenings after the war against Ukraine in other rooms. So I do not think that it is necessary to come up on this stage and ask American progressive people to excuse what Mr. Trump is doing. They are doing more for democracy in America. And I'm not an unpolite person to come up and speak about that kind of issue, while I do not think that these people are responsible for the American foreign policy right now. With that saying, but still, I do want to ask you, my dear friend Ben, to allow me to not speak while this person is in this room, because he is not a polite person, and also is not a usual Iranian person, I think. So with that saying, I have to be a little bit careful and try to find a safer way to join your wonderful room. And same time, I see also Mehran sitting there. But Mehran maybe can also confirm that to you. We now in Iran, we have a society in which people are arrested with very, 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 untrue, like Dreyfus situation in France. You can arrest everybody you want with false accusation to be a spy against. The Mossad was very, very successful in having people on the top level of leadership. They haven't found the real spies, and they are looking after them in clubhouse rooms while German Iranian people are speaking to American friends. So that's why I have to tell you that this whole development making me so sad, and they're arresting a lot of Jewish people.
Yeah.
Believe me, while I'm talking to you, my heart is beating. Sadly, for these people, Baha'i person, normal person, once you cannot defeat your own sky against your enemy, to whom you wanted the dead 40 years long. In this weak situation, they are arresting the weakest persons, minorities, people of like my humble being, strange Iranian German with strange ideas about Holocaust, and coming back to coming to start a dialogue with the Jewish people in our region or in the world. So with that saying, I'm telling you, I just wanted to share. I'm sorry that I spoke about this issue on the stage, but I thought that it's necessary. You started, there are bullying people around.
Yeah.
I love to be in your room, but just wanted to show you what kind of problems we are dealing with each day on the daily basis.
I think I can speak for other people on the stage and in the audience. You add so much to the room, and you come at it with such bravery and thoughtfulness, and we really appreciate it and appreciate you, and anything to keep you from harm and protect you or any Iranian that's in here. If you're uncomfortable with somebody in the room, just tell me. I have I blocked him. I threw him out of the room, but I also blocked him so he won't be here ever again.
Well,
So
we can come back.
So now he went to the Iranian room now. There's a stock market room sometimes also in Iran is visiting me, giving me the honor to speak also on that stage. You know, there are business people, but under these business people, there are a lot of Stasi people, you know.
yeah,
So Gestapo people. So, and the issue is, he is not able to understand that you are a peace-loving Americans. It is not necessary for me to come up on your stage and make you responsible for the American foreign policy. This very thin issue he doesn't understand. And this is the challenge with which I have to.
there you go. All right, thanks again. Appreciate it, Bruce. Okay, we've got 15 more minutes, so I guess we make the rounds. And Denise, I know I'm impinging on you, but we're going to make you the caboose again, because you're so good at it.
Okay.
So you have some time to prepare. All right, let's go to Al. Al, you haven't spoken very much. Did you have any closing comments, pearls of wisdom?
No, I'm okay, thank you. I'm just kind of looking into this vote thing, and yeah, it does sound like they still have a bit of an uphill battle here. They either have to go back to square one, and not square one, but they have to go back and redo the key issues.
Mm-hmm.
They have to, agree to it, and it doesn't look like it's something they're going to easily, just go, we'll work there. So, appreciate you, Steve, for, because I feel very, very invested in this particular thing. I'm just particularly disheartened over the understand part of it. Literally taking food out of people's mouths, and it just makes me sick. This is also, the horrible garbage bill, or some people are calling it the murder bill, that has a piece about removing judges' ability to accuse contempt, that's another concern.
Yeah.
And that did not get taken out during this, before this got voted on. So that's the thing that I'm really most focused on. So I'm going to go ahead and let you continue on with other people.
All right, thanks, Al. Let's go to Stephanie. Closing comments, pearls of wisdom. Stephanie, anybody home? All right, looks like Steph's busy.
I'm sorry, I was listening to some humor about humor is good, when you just need a mental break. But anyway, that's just take care of our health, because we need all our energy to continue to power on every day. And that's it. Thank you very much, Ben.
Well, thanks, Stephanie. Appreciate it. Okay, where were we? Dr. Francine. Closing comments, pearls of wisdom.
Well, I think this is a difficult day, but I also believe that since nobody on the right is complaining about it, that they are at least thinking they're going to be able to live with it. And I'm really curious whether in my neck of the woods that is going to happen.
I think that's, again, maybe a broad generalization, because one, we haven't necessarily heard. Two, I saw some reporting come out that there were a number of Americans in rural areas in the South, in Alabama, many people not aware of actually the content of what was in the bills, which points to an area for solution.
Sure. That's
Friday to talk about the truth or the news deserts or the attention economy for these things, and how to beat that kind of thing moving forward when it has such stakes, such incredible impact on people's lives.
Yeah. Francine, was that it? Did you want to land?
I don't disagree with Andrea. I think she's absolutely right. And that's where we need a solution. And the solution, we know what it is, because it's like an analog to the old-time newspaper. We still have news, people would have a sense of what was in it, you know, but now it's pretty fragmented. Everyone's attention is pretty fragmented, and people are less aware than they've ever been before.
I feel like we need to find ways to bring people together safely, but to both rebuild community and social capital, but also kind of get what is this? Is it telephone or the passing of information up and running again?
Yeah.
I mean, telephone may be problematic. I think it was called Chinese telephone, that game originally. So maybe that isn't a good idea. But getting people together more on some of these issues, bringing them maybe together and whether it's sports or community or what. I mean, town halls, yes. And by the way, there is a piece of news. Sorry, I know you want to go to Denise, but I saw that they're advertising. It seems that the Democrats have kind of picked up on some idea that we talked about in here in a different form, but they're talking about trying to create a people's cabinet. So maybe we can discuss that more in a different room, because we're wrapping up today. I'll bring that for tomorrow.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Andrea. All right, let's go.
Have you heard from David?
No, we haven't heard from David, and I want to get to Scotty. Let's go to David, and then Scotty's busy today, so.
I have a feeling I haven't greeted Dr. Francine. Dr. Francine, all my life, have a wonderful time, have a wonderful day.
Great, thanks, Bruiser. All right, go ahead, David, and then Scotty. David Jacobson?
Yeah, I'll try to keep up the theme with how sinister this bill is, and particularly because the cuts don't take effect right away, and how that delayed nature is the politician's way out. To not be accountable is to not be up for election by the time, or to have their career, on some form of cruise control. So we really have a sinister system that does sinister things. In the form of the oligarchy. So I've maintained that Bernie's message all along was the Elon Musk is going to steal from you to get rich, and it still maintains. So if we could just talk about the delayed nature of how these bombs are basically poison pills in the future in the budget, and they seem insignificant because the Fed can't take it into account right now because it hasn't hit yet, right?
Right. Okay. Thanks, David. All right, Steve Crown, did you have any closing comment, pearls of wisdom?
Carry on.
Okay. All right, so we are down to our last two. Rick Sanchez, you're up.
Yeah, well, I don't have any answers, but I think as individuals, the best thing we can do is find a small group that's aligned with our values and really concentrate on no more than 3 things. If there's 3 groups that you work with, if you spread yourself too thin, we really dilute everything. Because if you can take those 3 groups and then start moving them to join forces with other groups, and that in itself is a challenge, because they're all competing for the same small donations. So that's a challenge, but we need to start getting these small groups coordinated. It's called a coordinated campaign. The Republicans are extremely good at coordinated campaigns. We are not. And when they work brilliantly, but it does take a lot of work. And a lot of it's kind of just tedious, making phone calls, writing letters, and even within small groups, you're going to have a lot of discussions about how to do things and trying to win over people, you do have to make compromises. And that's just part of life. And we need to learn how to compromise better. And so anyway, this is the time to organize, because we have to be recruiting candidates now. We really have to get these things in motion and stop. We have to create the plans now and really put them into motion, because the next election is just around the corner. And if we don't change things in this next election, it's going to be much more difficult for us. So get to work. I know it's overwhelming right now. It's frustrating. It's flying. You know, I just saw today my wife sent me a thing that there's now a Donald Trump fragrance.
Oh, Jesus. And it looks like an Academy Award statue.
$249, and it has the musky scent of bullshit. And every day he seems to be releasing a new product. And, you know, we've just got to stop this. And it's going to take work. It's going to be frustrating.
Is there no law against it?
Well, it's all through cell companies and his family's companies.
He disregards the law. Come on.
Yeah.
You know that.
He doesn't care about the law. Who's going to stop?
The Constitution doesn't mean anything.
Rick, I think I listened to a few talks yesterday, and I think while there's more strategy to it, but I really think they're encouraging as many people, they're encouraging that Democrats and or independents get out there and run absolutely everywhere, because of the impacts of this bill and the chance both to not only get the message out through the campaign to communities that we might not go in, but specifically also in very competitive swing districts, of which there are probably, for Congress anyway, looks like, well, I'll give you the exact number tomorrow. I thought I counted, like 25 or so or more. And then there was also a big, of course, call to action for folks to count, to also focus on the state and local elections, but really to get people to just run everywhere as much for messaging in this dire moment. And then also
you run even if you know you're not going to win, because it gives you a chance to talk to people.
Right, and then they also talked about, of course, the need to get more strategic about not only more people involved in the, No Kings protests, but having that be much tighter or stronger in both pushing for calls to action to follow up on afterwards and work on that follow-up, but further building out that coalition more strategically. And then finally, I saw an interesting report. There's been a number of interesting youth surveys, which we know are going to, the youth vote is going to be potentially very critical, and it's a question that how to get the youth vote back or grow it, the Dems in particular have been grappling with lately. And that's probably another separate room, but to talk about their key issues. But the top issue that just came back on a When We All Vote survey was economic issues were the top. Abortion was still on there, so health and access to health. Climate was fifth, and I'll just check.